Hey guys, we're going to be talking about the new Lucio rework. And once again, just like the Chromia rework, they've kind of gone above and beyond. It's not just a rework. A lot of people are calling it a redesign because of how much has been changed on Lucio. Now, I've actually talked with the balance team about Lucio before, and they said that he was a very difficult hero to balance because if you buffed him even a little bit, it would amplify that by so much, no pun intended, because he would do so much to help his team. So if you made him go even a little bit faster, then his whole team goes faster, and everyone who had a hard time getting up to people or getting away from people now are like 10 times stronger than they were before. So they found that the more he helped his team, the more it was hard to balance him. And so what they wanted to do here was give the individual Lucio player more to do and more activity, but make it to where he could still benefit his team. So there are a lot of things that are changed. I'm just going to go through his abilities and explain them. Soundwave is essentially the same. His W speed boost is now only 10% instead of 20%, and his healing boost has also been nerfed a little bit. 33 health per second at level 20, and it's a little bit higher. I don't know if that's actually scaled, because I believe that's actually higher than what it was before, but the E benefit has been nerfed down just a little bit. So 246 health per second is what the activatable of this is, and its cooldown has been adjusted as well. The speed boost has been dropped from 45% down to 30%. So you can see the auras that he's giving in terms of speed are much lower than what they were before. And his overall healing in healing form is going to be better. So it's almost going to be better to just stay in healing form for longer and then use wall ride to give yourself movement speed. But as you can see, when I started wall riding, something popped up in the bottom. What is this right here? While moving alongside terrain, activate to slide towards a target location. Enemies hit take 219 damage and are slowed for 75 seconds. Well, there's a few things about this that feel a little clunky to me. If I'm moving across terrain and I try to like mouse away to do something, I might leave terrain before that benefit goes off. So it's going to take a lot of practice to use it, but you can charge through and you can do damage to things. Let's toggle cooldowns and see what this hits. It hits camps, so it can speed up your rate of getting camps. I mean, it does have a rather long cooldown. It hits enemy minions, so it allows you to have, and again, you can see the difficulty of getting this sometimes, because the second you leave, you're going to lose it. So it may be hard to get it for wave clear, because you can't get it unless you can push them closer to the waves. And then we can charge through. It does slow enemies, though, and it's a 75% slow. So that's enough to charge past them and then get them pushed towards your team. And that slows pretty good. I mean, that's a really big slow. That could definitely be an engage for your team. It could also be a way to get away. Say, for instance, you want to do kind of the opposite of what what a ETC should be doing, where they W first and then they go through. What we could do is we could get the Arthas, for example, and we can maybe like push him in and then we can slide through him. The challenge with that is we don't get the wall ride likely. So it's going to be a little tricky to get that going. There's a lot of things we can learn from it, but it's interesting. I like the slow. It's a really big slow. It's only for a second, but we'll talk about it. So Party Mix, he gets his quest at level 1 now, which is going to make his quest much more of a likely pick, and it's competing with the talent that was used by the pros 90% of the time, that 40% extra movement speed over 4 seconds while you maintain the effect of Wall Ride. Wall Ride basic attacks heal. Basic attacks heal for 30% of the damage dealt and restore 0.5 mana. Now, does this also heal everyone, or does this just heal yourself, is a question that I'm curious about. It doesn't really say that it heals everyone, so I'm guessing it just heals you. But you also increase the duration of wall ride by 1 second. So that means as you leave the wall ride, you see how it disappears? It drains down over here. So you'll be able to keep that wall ride duration longer. And so this will allow you to play a little bit more aggressive with it, because you're going to be able to heal off of this as you're walking up, you're doing damage, you're walking up, you're doing damage, you're walking up, you're doing damage. And this can be something that just keeps going. Now, I'm not sure if this increases the healing that you do. No, it does not. So I'm getting healing, but the healing dummy's not getting any extra healing from this talent. So this is only for you to play more aggressively. So you'd probably stay in movement speed when you're doing this, and then you would just walk around, be annoying as possible, maybe even like go up, push them in, slide through them when they're trying to get away, and you can just be pretty aggressive with it. So again, we're wall riding, push them into the tower, and we're just healing and getting benefits. It's okay, but honestly, it's too selfish, and I don't know if that's going to be the way to do that. But wall ride reducing the cooldown of your push-off could be also important. So that is an option there. Level 4. Subwoofer makes it to where enemies within the first half get knocked back further. They are combining this with the other Q talent that was the quest. After hitting 3 heroes in a single sound wave, you increase the arc and its range. So it's combining 2 of the best push talents, and then one of the ones that the pros would pick, where as long as you were using wall ride, you get a low cooldown. This gave them wave clear and the ability to take out camps faster with your team. So now they're splitting these up, so it's harder to not pick it's going to be harder to pick off the wall when Subwoofer's so good. And they're also giving you Supersonic, where your cooldown of your trait recharges faster if you are using Wall Ride. So you're going to be using your trait, and then you're going to be using this to get back your Wall Ride. I don't really know which one's going to be the best right now, but we're going to pick up Supersonic for now. And on to the next one. Soundwave grants shield. So Soundwave is your Q. The more you're using your Q, you're going to be granting shield. Now, this is only to Lucio. You give yourself a shield, and then if you hit an enemy hero, you get 3 times that amount. I don't know if this stacks. Let's see if this stacks. Hold on. Got to turn off my phone. Let's see if this stacks. So let's hit... if we hit 1 hero, we get a shield for 230. And if we hit 2 heroes, we get 2 shields of 230. It does stack. So again, it's kind of a selfish build of getting in there, doing some annoying damage. So you'd probably pick this with off the wall, where you're just getting in there with smooth moves, hitting them with off the wall, and getting shields repeatedly, and just being as annoying as possible. The next talents, we're going to be picking up, let's go Telerondo, we'll go Subwoofer, and then the... So you also have Reverse Amp, makes it to where you, let's see, Blast Lucio's active, you track this, while it's active, it deals damage. So Reverse Amp, which was an ultimate ability before, is now a talent. So you can do damage to the enemies, or you can slow the enemies. So if we do damage, it's actually a pretty decent amount of damage for not being an ultimate ability. That's to 1 target. If I'm attacking them and using my E, I'm doing 300 DPS at level 20. That's not bad. Or a 20% slow to all the enemies in the area. Let's switch to movement speed, and let's get right up in there. So you can slow all the enemies by a decent amount. 20% is not bad. Slide through them, knock them away. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. For being just a regular talent, that's not bad. It does scale. It's not great, but it's okay. And the fact that you can just keep use it. And then Boombox, we've all seen Boombox, still a thing. Level 10, Sound Barrier. Pretty much the same as what it was before. We won't get too far into that. But there's a new talent called High Five. High Five says quickly skate to an ally hero. Upon arrival, that hero is granted Unstoppable and is healed for 548. Here's his cleanse, and it says 15 seconds per ally. What does that mean? Does that mean that you can hit multiple allies with this? Let's toggle cooldowns really quick and see. I can't use it. Oh, okay. So you can use this cleanse per ally. So you see how I can't use it on that target again? So it has no cooldown, but you can bounce around your different allies, charging through them, charging through enemies, bouncing around, and you can jump to different allies. So let's get ourselves an ally hero really quick. Someone who's going to charge in there and just take a whole bunch of damage. We all know those Artanuses. You know what I mean? We all know them. You know who I'm talking about here. Get some damage. That's actually pretty interesting. So we can charge to him, heal him, and then we can skate over, charge to him, heal him, and then heal him a bunch. Yeah, that is interesting. That's really, really interesting. I like it. I really do. It makes you a lot more mobile in team fights. You can do a little bit more single target healing if you needed. Okay, so that is his new ultimate ability, High Five, and it's a cleanse. So he didn't have a cleanse before. So now you have a cleanse on probably the shortest cooldown cleanse in the game, with the exception of Karazim at level 16. Because it's 15 seconds. You can technically cleanse more people. That's interesting. Really, really is interesting. All right, on to the next few talents. We've got All Together, gain movement speed from nearby allies. For each ally in Crossfade, you gain movement speed. That stacks with other bonuses. That's cool, but it's selfish. Push off stuns and no longer slows. So you stun for 0.5 seconds. Not sure when this is going to be better than the slow, because the slow is a good enough slow. Maybe if you need to interrupt something like a Chen, you won't be able to interrupt a Mosh because you're not unstoppable while doing this, which means that you're just going to get hit by the Mosh the second you try to do it. Slip, gain armor movement speed while wall riding. Selfish, but annoying. It's a good chunk of movement speed. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, this is kind of interesting. I don't really like any of these talents. They're selfish, and then that's okay. But I feel like the slow for 1 second, 75% slow for 1 second is just as good as a 1 second or a 0.5 second stun. But we'll pick up this for now. At level 16, we always know that this was a talent that was picked like all the time, and it's pretty much unchanged. Percent health, high percent health healing when Lucio hits one of his biggest power spikes. Up the frequency was a talent that wasn't picked as often, which lowered the cooldown of your E. Could be better now that reverse amp is a talent, and you could be getting more value off it, and your quest gets completed earlier. It could definitely be a better one. Wall Ride also increases your basic attack range by 2 seconds. So if you were to be picking up something like Smooth Moves, or something that just like works off Wall Ride, then you're going to get a lot more value off of the off of that. Now they have a new talent called Up to 11. Extend the duration of Amp It Up by 2 seconds. So if you had out your amp it up at one point, you really needed the extra healing, then you could extend the duration of it. Or if you wanted to make it to where you could slow people for longer, then you could also do that, or speed up your team for longer, you could do that. But I think the cooldown's pretty high for what it gives you. 60-second cooldown for a 2-second change. That's not that great. I mean, if you think about that, that's an extra 500 health healed over the duration, which is not bad. But at level 20, I mean, level 16 talents should be much better than that. Let's get rid of the ally hero. We don't need him anymore. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this, especially since you're going to be giving up 2.5% of max health per second. So you would be giving up 7.5% of someone's health. Well, Lucio already at 7.5% of health is like 250 healing every time you press E. So you could press E 4 times for every time that you could do up to 11, meaning that you're effectively healing way more. It's like slightly more burst from this, but it's just worse in every other sense. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this. I think that definitely need to be buffed to make it even competitive with either of these two talents. Let's pick up this one. And then we go into Bossa Nova is the same as it was before. Decays over 4 seconds, lowers the cooldown. Mixing Fire now can be cast on enemy heroes to deal damage and reduce their healing by 50%. So remember that this can still be used on all of your allies without popping a cooldown. It can also now be used on all the enemies, which makes that a really, really powerful option for Lucios that might also want to be doing a little bit of damage and reduce their healing. I mean, that's a good burst that you can do. 500 damage is a decent chunk. That's 1/6 of a Lucio health. That's 1/6 of a Chromie health at level 20. So to be able to do 1/6 of a target's health instantly and reduce the healing that they're going to take is pretty big. Increase the duration of Amp It Up by 1 second. So you're also increasing the benefits of your Amp It Up. So instead of it being 3 seconds, so if you were to pick this, now you're healing for an more. If you were to pick reverse amp, now you're making it last longer. This is incredibly powerful for a level 20 upgrade. House Party. For each ally affected by crossfade, he gains 10% increased healing. That's really, really good as well. If you need to keep all your team alive, that's really powerful. It's hard not to pick that. And Summer Anthem, activate for all other allies to be unaffected by crossfade to become unkillable for 1 point. Sorry, activate to make all other allies affected by crossfade make them unkillable for 1.5 seconds. Guys, that combined with your shield, combined with like this, could be insane because it's. I'm so confused. So you activate this. So literally, this is how this works. Your team's about to die. You activate this. They don't die during the cast time of your sound barrier. So you activate this, cast sound barrier, and then you use rejuvenation to bring everyone back to a livable life. So you give them essentially 4 seconds of invulnerability for sound barrier. You give them 1.5 seconds of invulnerability for Summer Anthem, and then you heal them all back up. That's, I mean, you can make pretty much 5 to 6 seconds of a team fight just wasted on the enemy's part. That's really powerful. The House Party is really powerful, and Mixing Fire is really powerful. So Lucio is going to be kind of a annoying pest until 16, and then he's gonna get his power spike, and then at 20 he's gonna get one of the best power spikes that any supports get. All of these talents are incredible. So I don't even know which ones I would pick the majority of the time. I mean, this seems really good to be able to just like go in and go boom, 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 boom. Like, look at that DPS. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, not essentially DPS, but just burst on it. Then you're also doing damage with this. It increases the duration of it. I mean, that's incredible. It really, really is incredible that you're healing everyone, just dealing extra damage to everyone around team fights, healing, dealing damage. I mean, that's just crazy. And I would probably get the increased party mix out of this, actually. Okay, so those are his new talents. Let's talk about some possible builds that we might be seeing. Let's talk about cooldowns to get my mana back. Let's reset talents. I think that there's going to be, I don't know, it's not going to be as straightforward. I mean, there's going to be probably the selfish build of running around. I don't know if it's going to use smooth moves, as cool as that is. It's probably still going to use Accelerando so you can really get into the fights and out of the fights. I think the easy build is going to be Party Mix, followed by likely Subwoofer. This is probably also going to be the most consistent build, I would imagine. You'd be picking up Reverse Am to get those slows and extra damage off. High Five, I think this is going to be situational, but again, for an easier build, I feel like High Five is going to be the way to go. On to level 13, it's likely going to be gaining movement speed from nearby allies, as you're going to be having more allies in your area. Followed by that, it's just so good. Don't know how to pronounce it, but it's super good. I would say for the easy build, gain more healing for the more people that are in your crossfade, because once we complete the quest, it's going to be very large. So I think that's going to be the easy build. The more consistent build is going to probably run Mixing Fire so that you can like actually set up. I say this to a lot of people that Lucio, the reason that he wasn't used a lot in competitive after a lot of his changes was that he didn't have like a setup. He didn't have like a way to really get into there. Like his only way to get into the team fight and to set up a good team fight was to literally go around them and then knock them into your team. The problem is, as you're going around them, you get Garrosh flipped, stunned, and then you get blown up instantly by a Tyrande. And that's why he wasn't used in competitive very often after the changes. But with Mixing Fire, it allows you to kind of do this a lot quicker, where you can use something like this, where you can go, you dash off the wall, you Q them, you jump to them, and you reduce their healing, right? So that's essentially how I have a feeling it's going to happen in the high ranks of play, is the enemies aren't going to be expecting it. You dash off, Q them in, charge to them, and lower their healing. I couldn't charge that time because he had the cooldown. Because that way you're slowing them, you're charging through them, you're charging to them, lowering their healing, and they're way in your team. And I have a feeling that's how it's going to work in competitive. So Mixing Fire is going to bring him a lot of playmaking potential. But I think for the team that just wants to be a little bit more like standard and just the easier build all around, I feel like this is going to be the easiest ways. You pick up House Party, we complete quests, and now look at how we can keep all these people, all these allies in here and heal way more, do more damage. and it's just going to be insane healing. And you get more movement speed the more people that are there. It's definitely going to be the easier talent for sure. So this is going to be the easy build, and it's going to be very consistent for players. So feel free to try that out. I think the competitive build is going to still use Accelerando. It's still going to use Off the Wall, and then it likely still going to use Boombox for the vision, followed by High Five. I mean, getting a cleanse is going to be insane. But if they, unless your team's like a full 5-man dive into the enemy team, then we're going to go Sound Barrier. So let's talk about that build really quick. Let's go Accelerando. Let's go into Off the Wall, into Boombox, Sound Barrier, and then let's see, Push Off, probably Wall Ride, and Rejuvenate into the Summer, I would imagine. Like, just to be able to, and the whole combo is going to look something like this, where you're in the middle of a team fight, and then you make everyone unkillable, you pop your ult as your unkillable ends, and then you pop that, and you heal people as your ult is ending. And it's going to be very hard to kill people in a team that's doing that. So if the enemies have a blow-up composition, you're going to run a High Five. If they don't, if they have sustained damage, if everyone on the enemy team is sustained damage, you pretty much just won the game once you hit level 20. So that is new Lucio. I think this is a pretty good change. He's a lot more active. He's got some really cool talents, and he definitely has more build variety. And I don't think that he has like 1 or 2 builds you have to go down. I think it's going to be a little situational too. If there's things you need to interrupt, you're going to be picking up this. If not, you're going to see yourself adjusting your talents along the way, whether or not you need cleanses, whether or not you need healing reduction, whether you need just more healing. I think his whole build path now, there's not like specific builds. It's all just situational talents all the way down, which is pretty cool. It's going to be harder to make build guides for him, but it's going to be a lot easier to, it's going to be more engaging to play throughout the game of adjusting his builds based off what you need. I really like High Five, and I like the potentials of High Five. I think it's really cool. I think the new change to Push Off is good. Like, I'm sad that they're nerfing just the base side of Lucio, but I think the new talents are pretty cool. And they did say that they want to be looking at him for a little while, because this is a build that we just don't know if it's going to be really strong or absolutely terrible. So we'll see how this goes over the next little bit. Probably the next month or so, we're going to see this being tweaked up and down, because on paper, it seems like they nerfed him enough to make these new talents okay, but he might be a little too weak when he releases. But there's a chance with all the new utility that they've added, he's just going to be unstoppable. And especially for good players, hitting 16 and 20 are going to be such big power spikes that if you don't lose the majority of the game before you hit 16, Lucio is going to be a beast. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to check out any of my other videos, and you can also comment what build you think is going to be the one used for new Lucio.